That's what happens when everything is live, I guess. I hope you use this little break to get some drinks, some refreshments, some snacks. I guess the weather is playing into our cards today with some rain after a lot of heat. And we're gonna do this talk a little bit different. There's not gonna be a big presentation. We're just gonna talk through a few things. And Katharin is here. Yay!
Hi.
So, Katharin, maybe introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? How did you come about to be in Altemünster with us today?
Well, yeah, I started to work for Clubcommission basically in the end of last year. And I'm working there in the area of anti-discrimination work, awareness and diversity. And that's how I got there, actually. And before, I was working in different contexts for several festivals, art projects, and mainly with a focus on equality, diversity concepts, yeah.
Thank you for that. I also know that you were actually working here at Altemünster.
True.
For the longest time.
Yeah,
Can you tell
for
us a
4
little bit
years.
about your background in terms of working for Altemünster
Yeah.
and also all the other stuff that you were doing before we go
Okay,
into the topic?
I can start a bit more in the beginning. I studied my master's in cultural management in Hamburg, and then for my practical year, I went to Palestine. I was working there at the Goethe Institute. And then I stayed there for longer, for another year, and then I got back, and I ended up in Berlin because this space, Altemünster, which is actually an abandoned old coin factory, was an interim's usage, or is still, and the collective I was working for started to develop it to a cultural place, and mainly my part was to, make it a cultural place. So every project that had to do with arts and culture was, in my field of work, basically.
Nice. How came that you decided to go way more into awareness? Now being with the Awareness-Akademie, you're the lead at the Awareness-Akademie. How was that shift for you, and why did you make that decision?
Well, I don't know if it was a real shift. It was more a process or a development within all of my stations in life. I guess it comes the most from my work in several festivals. I was building up with the others Field Festival and Art Lake Festival, for example. And there I was always I was curating a lot of program, and my main focus there was always giving women more visibility, BPOC people more visibility, queer people more visibility. So this came very natural to me from my experience as a woman, as a queer identified person, and from my experience living in Palestine and all of this. So yeah. And that's how I got hired from Clubcommission, basically, because,
Yeah, I can confirm you're very great to work with, and you're so dedicated to the topic. Tell us a little bit, while you were getting your headset, I was already talking about the awareness work because I didn't know what to venture about.
Yeah.
But maybe go to the beginning, how long has the Clubcommission been doing awareness? What are these steps that led to the process of having a Awareness-Akademie now?
So basically, it started in around 2017. There was the formation of the working group Awareness and Diversity. And from there, the awareness and diversity work of Clubcommission started. And it started as a small working group, and then it grew. Then the Clubcommission started to work together with the LADS. It's the Landesstelle gegen Antidiskriminierung für Gleichberechtigung, meaning, the country office against discrimination for equality.
Exactly.
So we are working with them. We had several roundtables focusing on discrimination-sensitive door policy. That came actually from the raising numbers of complaints the LADS received when it comes to discrimination in the context of clubs and club culture, mainly happening at the door. So they had a quite strong opinion on discrimination happening towards especially people with migration background at the doors of clubs. So Clubcommission came as one expert to these roundtables and giving this a more diverse perspective, because it's a very complex topic. It's not just all the time discrimination happening at the door. There is a lot of stuff happening, but at the same time, the door policy is creating a space and a community space in a club, and it has to do with a certain kind of curation of a community. So we kind of brought this perspective on the table, and up to now, we developed a very nice cooperation with the LADS, and even working in different projects now together.
Could you name like some of the processes, the steps that have been happening? I mean, the Awareness-Akademie is so new. It's a baby right now. So what were the key steps to getting to this point?
So with the LADS, we started to develop a glossary or kind of a dictionary, developing a common language when it comes to discrimination, awareness and diversity in club culture, meaning a common language that the LADS and the administration and the policymakers, as well as security staff, club owners, and people working at clubs can understand. So we're all talking about the same. And there is still a lot of things to learn, and it's as well in the process. So this was one main project. Then together with some experts and the LADS, we developed a first concept of a training for people working at the door and companies that have door staff, and training them in terms of awareness and sensitivity when it comes to discrimination. And this has been in development and is now being rolled out in this year with the first clubs. So this is one thing, and as well, we started to develop our network and having just a lot of dialogue with experts, people who are already very active in the field of awareness work when it comes to club culture. And at the same time, the Clubcommission received more and more and more inquiries and requests over the years in terms of anti-discrimination and how they can get active in awareness work and kind of looking for some expertise. And then we kind of realized in all these activities there's a lot of demand and a lot of needs, and there's already a lot of really cool things happening and very serious work, but we are lacking certain standards to kind of come to the next step, to find ways to finance awareness work, it's as well critical, but making it a bit more professional, to make it a standard that we kind of can require from every person being active in club culture. And that's the point where we actually started the Awareness-Akademie. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How does the Awareness-Akademie work? Like, what is happening, and how can people be part of it?
Yeah.
Who's currently being part of it? And
So I will have a look so I don't forget anything. But I guess Awareness-Akademie is more defining the vision of the project itself. So maybe it can become a real academy one day. But right now we are kind of creating the structure for that and creating the base. So what it basically means is the Awareness-Akademie being a platform for a network, growing a network with experts and people who are active in this, or people in the club culture, actors who are just interested to develop skills in awareness work and being more aware in general in their work. So we kind of try to create a dialogue between all these people and us, meaning, in a very practical way, means we are gathering everybody every 2 months on a so-called Awareness and Diversity Roundtable here in Berlin, which is actually open for everybody who just wants to get involved and bring in your perspective, your opinion, and your expertise. And we are focusing on the exchange, so we look at different clubs, how do they do awareness work, what are the certain levels we already reached, what are the challenges, and what are current topics. So, and the topics are changing all the time. Now we have COVID, so this is an awareness topic. It's actually changing a lot of things, and it makes, the awareness work even more essential, I think. Then we have anti-discrimination work when it comes to racism, and we have gender-based discrimination, which is a huge topic, and awareness work. So all these topics we try to discuss with different experts and have different perspectives on that, and then discuss it together and learn from each other. And the goal of these roundtables is actually to, together with everybody, create these certain standards we then need to have a professional awareness work, and especially to have some base we can, show the policymakers and ask them for support. So that's one thing we do, and then the Awareness-Akademie is actually a qualified contact point, so you can reach out to Clubcommission, awareness@clubcommission.de, and with everything that comes with anti-discrimination work or complaints or awareness work or diversity concerns, you can just reach out to us, and then our team will discuss that, either have conversations with the people or we refer to certain experts. So at the same time, we are growing our networks of experts and initiatives. So we can basically be a connecting point for all these people.
You touched base on a lot of stuff. So let's go back to COVID-19 happening and how did that impact? We're going to go into streaming more and more. We are right now streaming. So how did COVID-19 impact your awareness work that you were planning to do for this year? And how did it shift everything for you?
Well, it somehow changed everything upside down. Even at Clubcommission, the general structures came with a lot of confusion, and we all had to find our orientation. So we had a very concrete plan for the year, and suddenly everything was different. For our awareness and diversity roundtables, it means we had to do them online, which is basically, it's working, but still we are lacking different levels of communication, because we can see each other on an online level, but it's still not the same. You are missing out a lot of things, so you have to deal with that. Still, we did that, and it kind of was very important. So the Awareness and Diversity Roundtable was way more just a way of staying connected and exchanging on the current feelings we have due to this crisis. And it changed a lot for the club culture itself. You are dealing with a lot of people who have existential fear, who are lacking income, who are scared of what brings the future. We all don't know. And then what's a very huge thing for me, I think, is that, the marginalized people and, the people who have it already, hard, are even more struggled, I think. And I think that's something that comes with every crisis, and especially as club culture is trying to create safer spaces, and clubs are community spaces very often for a certain community and for people who are maybe not able to express themselves as they are in the daily life. They come to clubs and they find their safer space there, and this is just not happening right now. So what's happening to all these people, and how can they stay connected? How can they find the balance? So that's a very huge topic, I think. And then the other thing is as well drug usage. People who are consuming drugs, what is happening to them now? And this is just going in the underground. So there are a lot of very difficult topics and that even require more and more attention now in this time. And then a huge shift this crisis bring to Clubcommission is the project United We Stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, we created basically within the first day, the lockdown was made public.
Can you speak to people who don't know you and know that you're doing the awareness work now a little bit about how did United We Stream actually get set up in such a short time? What was your role in this project, and how we can talk about the awareness work in the digital space a little bit more then?
Okay, yeah, I start by day one, which was Friday 13th of March. When we got the news, there will be the lockdown of club culture and culture in general, but basically club culture, the next Tuesday. So we had kind of 4 days. And we knew already before, the days and weeks before, we observed the situation, so we kind of knew that something like this would come, but still it wasn't clear that it comes in that radical way. So we kind of made an emergency call to the club culture community, and we gathered people being active in club culture, club owners and bookers, artists, everyone who wants to get involved with our network. And then we kind of discussed, okay, what can we actually do now that clubs are going to close and we don't know for how long. And that was a bit a physical meeting, but more an online meeting. And then there came this idea, we want to do a campaign to raise donations, to raise money for clubs in emergency situation, and as well to kind of give the club culture itself the representation still and make it visible, even though it cannot be open. So we had this idea with this streaming from empty clubs. And then it very, very fast became the idea, okay, we will stream from different clubs every day, a week in Berlin. And we will just show what club culture is worth it and what it actually is. And then within, so it was the 13th, and on the 18th of March, we already went online with the first stream from Watergate, together with Arte. So these were like crazy few days, working day and night with so many talented people from all backgrounds throwing in their skills and just making it work.
Now that you had like only a few days to do bookings, because that's also a controversy in club culture, right? There's not much representation a lot of times. Lineups are all white, male, cis male, and even though Berlin is a bit more like aware, I think, how did it come about? Was there a lot of like backlash because you had to go online straight away, and people felt like you were marginalizing on top of what's going on?
So that's a very big question for the whole project itself. So I forgot to say what was my role in that. I was working with my colleague Daniel and other nice people in the program group, and we were kind of taking care of the program in the Berlin clubs. So the first days we were just like, oh my God, how do we actually create the first week? So we reached out to certain clubs and just tried to make it work. And then after the first 3 days, we developed our own small guideline we sent out to the clubs saying, okay, it has to be diverse, there has to be gender balance, everything that comes with diversity we addressed in that. And then we sent that out, and well, that went easier with some clubs and more difficult with other clubs, because you have to acknowledge that there is a certain level of awareness when it comes to this. This is just like it is in society. So we basically had a lot of discourse with the people who are in charge of the booking and kind of created a dialogue and discussing. Sometimes it was super clear for clubs and they had already this booking policy themselves. to be diverse and not just white and not just male dominated. But sometimes there were even clubs who never thought about this, which is very interesting because this is a huge potential of this project, that we actually can have an impulse for this discourse. And we had that, and sometimes these were very difficult but very successful discussions. And then the first month went on, and as well, this was a huge discussion within the whole United We Stream team, because as well, the United We Stream team, containing over 100 activists of club culture, have very diverse backgrounds, and some are more radical on this, some are less radical and have more experience or less experience. So we had to find a path, what's kind of, our mission in that. And then after the first month, we created a gender diversity analysis of the booking, which actually came out with the result that we have a ratio of, I guess it was 40% women, female identified artists, 57% male identified artists, and the rest diverse, which is actually still not 100% balanced. But when you look at the status quo in club culture and festival lineups and stuff like this, which is basically between 20 and 25% female identified artists, we already had a good ratio. And after that, we have actually kind of from the very beginning, we have established an awareness working group within this project. And then within this group, we created an awareness manifesto, actually, giving very clear rules for all our partners, clubs we work together with. Then it grew all over Berlin. Now we have a lot of global partners, so we sent and shared with all of them this manifesto, making clear the rules of this project and especially the values. And I'm still kind of proud of this manifesto because it brings together a lot of things, and that's what we realized. Okay, when you do a streaming, you have to, it's not just about the booking being diverse. This is very, very important because, of course, you are showing diversity or not, and people are learning from this, sitting behind the screen, consuming United We Stream. But still, we then realize we have to think, okay, how is the visual space created of the club? It is not possible that they are showing, for example, sexist visuals. But this can happen, so you have to fix this as a rule. Then you have to be aware of what the DJ is playing. He cannot play racist content, song lines, or whatever. And these were all things we had to consider and then kind of manifested in this manifesto. And
sounds like a lot of work.
A lot of work, especially when you think about this crisis situation, clubs being in an existential crisis, and they sometimes don't know if they can ever open again or how they make it to the next month, and being under a lot of pressure, and then you have to still think about diversity, you know, and be patient and stuff like this. Yeah. It's not an easy situation.
How did you prepare the clubs, given that there was a pandemic going on? Like, how would you coordinate with the clubs? How would the artists play? Like, what kind of rules were imposed for someone who was just watching at home? They see the final results, right? And like, what was the team behind it? How would you, me as a person that is not involved, how can I imagine a stream like that happening?
So first of all, it's a mix of clubs reaching out to us who wanted to participate, and then at the same time, as an, action for diversity, we as well reached out to certain communities, event organizers we knew would bring, like their own community, which is not just male and white, and they are addressing a certain community in our club culture here in Berlin. So we reached out to them, and we had in the end a mix of this. So requests and then our own, like looking for diversity. And then it would be like this. You would ask them for a program with our, values behind, and then they would make a draft, and then we would discuss this draft, and then we would discuss this as long as both sides are happy. And for us, it was always is important that there is artistical freedom for the clubs themselves, and they are able to represent themselves as they see themselves. So we don't interfere with that, but it has to go along with the general values. And then you go with this program, and then they get a Corona Awareness Codex. It's what we call. It's actually like a catalog of a lot of measures. Coming to hygiene, distance. Every artist can just come and has to go afterwards, like so many rules. Cleaning of the devices in between, disinfection of every surface. There were like a lot of measures they had to take, but this was essential in order to make this project work at all. To take responsibility.
We've talked a lot about awareness in the club or at the door, right? Like discrimination sensitive door policies. Now you've created one of the biggest virtual club in the world, and there is no door policy. So everybody can come in, there is being awareness spreaded, everybody has seen the trailers, like wash your hands, keep your distance, etc. But like, how do you ensure that people that are watching the stream, given that I'm a very online present person, there's hate, there's sexism in the comments, in the chats, like you say your opinion and you get like a big, excuse my language, shitstorm by some people, I would say. And how did you handle comments, etc., while these streams were going on?
So this is very complex because it's really like handmade work. We call it digital club shifts. Meaning basically there are sitting every night people from our social media team, checking all of the comments, moderating them or muting them, but basically interacting with them and seeing if everything goes along with the policy. And as soon as there is a line crossed that is not okay, they would interact with that. And then in order to prevent that even, we started to send awareness claims and diversity claims. Very simple, always, again and again and again. But we would observe this all the time. And sometimes when we had like, I don't know, for example, for one stream, I got an extra call from the event organizer. It was a queer party having as well people from different backgrounds, people coming from Asia, people, BPOC people, and they were scared that there would be racism because they had this experience from before. So, and when we got these kind of requests or statements, then we would even have more people being active in the night, sitting on the comments and seeing what's going on. But yeah, in order to make it a safe space as possible.
Yes. Coming back to, okay, so now we've all experienced our first pandemic, and we became pros in streaming online, we became pros in using Zoom, etc. Now it slowly starts feeling like we're getting our lives back. Clubs are gonna be closed for a long time, probably. So what do you take away from United We Stream? As I heard you're going into summer break for now, and and how does the project like relates back to real life? Like, what is the outlook, and especially in the context of awareness work?
Well, what I think this project brought for the future is that it proved that it's possible to have a very diverse program, to make a project work with a huge reach, showing new talents, established artists, huge clubs, small spaces, diversity in all direction, having queer events only. And we actually proved that this works and that this cannot be an excuse to be not inclusive or not diverse in the representation of your club. And then I think it made a huge step for solidarity and club culture in general. Like, it made people work together who would maybe never work together before. And I guess this stays. And I think it kind of took away a bit the crazy speed of the industry and the club culture itself.
But that's a paradoxon in a way, because like
Somehow.
knowing how much work hours, I was like also a little
Yeah.
bit involved, knowing that people would have given,
Yeah.
I don't know, 600 hours of their
Well,
lives to this project.
I'm not talking about behind the scenes of the project. This is
Yeah.
another topic we can talk about when it comes to awareness. I'm talking about the club culture in general and the clubs. And I mean, basically every artist played there for free in order to raise donations. So this is a very nice concept somehow, you know, to contribute something to help the bigger picture. And especially when you think about all these huge DJ fees you had in the end paid, and it was totally out of any relation anymore. And so maybe it made us, you know, rethink all of this. During all these streams, I did a lot of interviews with people involved, club owners, event organizers, artists, and you could kind of hear this from a lot of people, that they, of course, have a lot of fear and insecurity, but at the same time, they kind of needed this break to breathe and to rethink where this is actually going.
Yeah, when I think of the pandemic and all these artists being at home, like I really do hope that there's a lot of good music coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to speak a little bit more about the Awareness-Akademie that we started in the beginning, or started talking about in the beginning. So what other projects are related to? Like, are you only focusing? You spoke about experts. Is there like, are you collaborating with other countries? Are you like exchanging, like Raimund was saying before, there's a lot of lighthouse projects in drug, or like the relationship to policymakers and drugs, and how that has helped decrease actually the usage of drugs in some countries.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting to hear, like, is Germany an aware country? Is Berlin an aware space? Is there any platforms where you exchange with experts from other places?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. So basically, the Awareness-Akademie and the awareness work of Clubcommission is trying to build structures and resources. So we always try to create new projects. Yeah. So we are participating in some. One huge project that is going on for this and next year is called, for example, Sexism-Free Night. It's a European-funded project, and we are doing this together with 6 other European countries. It is led by Portugal, the university in Portugal, and is working together with the Club Commission for Germany. Then you have Serbia, you have Lithuania, you have Spain, we have France. Maybe I forgot someone now, but this is kind of the mixture, and we are working to raise awareness towards sexism and sexual violence in nightlife on the interface with drug usage. And basically it has different steps. The first one is to do a lot of research and in the end create a survey that is going around Europe towards this topic to actually figure out a status quo. And then, coming from these findings, create a training for, an awareness training for people involved in club culture, and a training that we can roll out all over Europe then in the next year.
Is that going to be a training that is more dedicated to clubs and staff, or is it more to actual guests in the club?
I guess there will be different trainings from what I see, because there's 2 focuses. People involved working in clubs, so club owners, bar staff, security staff, curators, and all of this. And then I guess it's focusing on bystanders as well. So as well raising awareness throughout the audience. Yeah, to actually be able to act in the right way and not just be a bystander without any action. And what's the very interesting thing in this project is that you can see how different is the level in this when it comes to this, and as well the cultural norms when it comes to sexual violence and sexism and the normalization of it across these different countries. It's just very different, and I have to say, without judging anything, but Berlin in this case is very liberal and very open-minded and very ahead of this discourse, I would say.
Okay. Are there any questions from the crowd? Just a second. You can ask Katharin anything you want. Or I'm going to continue poking her with my questions. No? Okay. So you also touched base on the economization of awareness work and care work. We have not touched that at all. And I think in the context of Corona and a lot of people all of a sudden being home, that could be like an interesting take. So let's first start with the economization of awareness work or care work. Could you speak a little bit to the status quo? Like, who are the people actually doing awareness work, mostly in the clubs, for example?
Yeah.
Or does every club have staff that is dedicated to awareness and diversity work? If you are not from Berlin and you're watching this right now, is there people who are dedicated to this, or how's the situation right now?
So I would say, yeah, in general, awareness work is, yeah, it's with that as it is with every kind of care work. It's basically very precarious and underpaid or not paid at all. So a lot of voluntary work. And I see this as a huge problem because it's a very tough job and it's very essential in order to have kind of a free and liberated and aware society. So I see this, like my vision for the future is that every club has this as an obligatory position in their clubs. But right now, this is far from the status quo. We have a very different, like a very diverse landscape when it comes to this, I would say. There are clubs who are already doing this over years and are always processing and developing and going further and further. And then there are a lot of clubs who are just about to start, who start to educate themselves and try to create kind of a structure. And then you have a lot of collectives who are organized voluntarily and who are offering their work of the collective to certain clubs. And then they would go there and, yeah, do their awareness work. I guess it's the same, I don't know what you talked about with Raimund when it comes to Sonar, but they are kind of organized the same way, that they send out their groups of experts to clubs. So it is like this, but still, as we talked in the beginning, there is no standard and there is no general way on how to do that. And there are certain approaches. For example, we have clubs who are implemented awareness in their security team, and then they are trained in that way. And then you have clubs who work with just an awareness team, and then you have clubs who have a security team and an awareness team and try to bring them together, which is another challenge. So, yeah, but in general, you have to say this is still not a common structure to have this awareness structure in your team and in your system. And I guess that's something we are working towards with the Awareness-Akademie. And basically, when it comes to the economization of it, a huge thing is that sometimes clubs are not ready to pay money for that, or are not able to pay money for that, or to invest in trainings and extra workers and stuff like this. So this is something we have to focus on, and we have to kind of raise awareness on that, why it is so important to invest in that. And at the same time, there's the flip side of this, when you are professionalizing something and you create certain standards that people can use these standards to their advantage. And at the same time, they could use awareness just as an image factor, but they don't take it in a serious way. And I guess that is something we have to be very aware of in the future, especially with all going on in our society right now. That, yeah, we have to create structures that still the small spaces and the alternative spaces who are maybe have different financial bases are able to kind of afford this work and as well appreciate all the awareness workers, and at the same time we have to, yeah, that's the thing. I don't know if this was a clear point, but
Yes, in a way. I mean, when a club owner or so would say, I can't run my club because I don't have bar staff to hire, wouldn't that, excuse me, wouldn't that be kind of the same thing? Like, you can't run a club without someone at the bar or someone at the door, right?
Yeah.
But shouldn't that be the goal, to get to the point where everybody understands you can't run
100%.
a cultural space without having someone that is aware until the balance is there and every guest is aware, and that would take years at this point, I guess, I assume.
100%, and I guess that's what we are working for with the Awareness-Akademie, and that's what we are trying to create with all the people who are involved in the Awareness-Akademie and in our roundtables, to create these standards we can agree on, and then these standards are the rule for everybody who wants to participate in club culture. And as well, there are thoughts like, in the end, having a certain certificate, you know, that can appreciate people who are taking the challenge of doing awareness work and creating their own values and rules when it comes to this. And yeah.
Cool. You already pointed out that a lot of people who are actually already doing it, doing awareness work, doing diversity work, be it as part of their door job or doing it separately from that. How is like the gender parity, or is there like, how can I imagine like somebody, like, is it more man, is it more women? Like, can you give us a little insight into
Doing the awareness work?
Doing the awareness work
and doing all these soft skills,
Yeah, is it, or
I
is
think
it
it's
gender fluid people or whoever?
Yeah, I think it's
non-binary.
basically queer people, gender fluid people, female identified people. It's again the same with the as with the care work, and that's, yeah. I think in general awareness is still seen as something, you know, additional, something that is not a core feature, but I think it is in order to be a successful and relevant club.
Thinking about the last few weeks in particular, Black Lives Matter in Berlin, Black Lives Matter around the world, as a black person, what do you predict? I mean, in terms of like, do you really think this movement right now and what many of us are feeling is going to last or have a long-lasting effect into awareness work in club culture? Or like, my personal take was there was definitely an underrepresentation to this point.
Yeah.
And that has been the case for the longest time. And the hope for me and for many others, like as an event organizer or collectives that are already doing the work, is that projects like United We Stream or what is happening in the world with Black Lives Matter is going to have a lasting effect on the industry as well.
Yeah, I want to be very positive about this. I have different thoughts when it comes to this, but right now, first of all, I hope it has a very long-lasting effect because it's so needed, and it's, yeah, And at the same time, I think it's already happening. I mean, I can see this in United We Stream booking team already now. Within the past 4 weeks, it already changed. That suddenly, before it came already always from our programming team that we were, or mainly that we were trying to raise awareness. We say, okay, you cannot just have an all-white booking, you cannot have an all-male booking. Please, can you rework this? Can we discuss this? And now you see, okay, the booking agents, they start to get aware of this. For example, there was this case, there was a live stream on Beatport with huge names. I forgot about them, and it was all white. And Beatport got a shitstorm, and they had to take it down. So now, what's the effect of this? All the booking agents are now, okay, no, I cannot let my artist play in an all white. You know, it comes now from this side. I don't know if this is the right side, because actually it should come from your own awareness, and you should acknowledge your own privilege, your own unawareness to this point, and maybe your own racism as well. But I don't know if this is too much to ask sometimes, and this, you know, pressure from the outside can as well have an effect. I mean, anyways, it has an effect, and at least to a certain level, it is serving the diversity, but still, I think it has to be an ongoing discourse. And
I mean, like, if we think back, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was this Blackout Tuesday, right? And I felt a lot of people participated in this social media action to show their support for Black Lives Matter, right? At the same time, the same people that were doing Blackout Tuesday are profiting directly of Black culture and are completely ignoring the impact that BPOC people are having on the music industry as a whole. And if you look into labels, a lot of times these people are white. If you look into festival lineups, I mean, it is slowly getting better, but if we're looking at that from that point where BPOC people are delivering all the culture and the music, as a matter of fact, techno comes from Black people, but then there is little to none outcry, or maybe just on that Blackout Tuesday. So there is definitely that fear for me that there is this hype, like everything that is happening online, like, you know, any challenge that you see on Instagram or on TikTok, that people are not really actually processing what they are making money off in a lot of times. Not all of them, obviously, but.
I have this fear as well, and that's what I meant with what I was saying before, that people will start to use this awareness as an image factor, but not really meaning it. Because this would definitely mean you have to reflect your own structures and your own rules and your way of acting, your behavior. And I think what at least we can take from this Blackout Tuesday thing is to take all these people who made a statement, who had this black square, to take them serious, you know, and make them accountable for what they said online and hold them accountable, because now we can check what they said, and now actions have to follow, you know? You cannot just post, okay, we want to be diverse, or we acknowledge this and that, and then in the end, next year you make a festival and you have an all-white lineup, or you are not representing queer folks or whatever. So maybe at least we can take this from that. And I mean, I still have a very critical opinion on this Blackout Tuesday thing, and it was a huge discussion within United We Stream as well. And for United We Stream, we made a huge statement, which actually came to our minds already before Blackout Tuesday, because we had a stream from New York City on the plan exactly on this Tuesday of Blackout Tuesday. We didn't know that this Blackout Tuesday thing is happening. So we decided to cancel this stream and postpone it to later in respect of the situation in the US, and then make a statement, and we didn't participate with any hashtag or whatever in Blackout Tuesday, because for us it was kind of a reflection in the team, and we had a huge discussion, and another discussion following that is to reflect our own structures and the diversity when it comes to this and the representation of BPOC people. And yeah,
I guess we're getting to the end of our conversation. How can people that are sitting at home or that are regularly going into clubs actually be aware of their privilege or be in support of or hold companies or labels or clubs accountable for their awareness? Like, what is a good way if I see a club is consistently having not diverse lineups, for example, or if labels are consistently pushing artists that are white. I mean, it's not against whites against blacks, but if you are seeing that there is not diverse representation that also includes like gender diversity in lineups, etc. Like, what can I do as a club goer, as a raver, to hold these clubs, festivals, places, labels accountable?
I mean, first of all, everywhere you go, you should read the room and see who's there and who's not there. And maybe you should internalize this way of thinking in order to recognize your own privilege. And then I think what is super important is to take a stand and to raise your voice, to address the club itself when you realize that there is a lack of something, and give them a chance to react on that, but as well hold them accountable and ask for something. And then if you don't get a feedback, you can reach out to Clubcommission here in Berlin. I think there are
what was the email address?
The email address is again awareness@clubcommission.de. And as well, you can discuss this with other people. And I think at the same time, I'm not such a fan of call-out culture. I think this can be problematic as well, but I would always confront clubs with that in an official way. And as well, you can make, when it comes to diverse lineups, you can make suggestions, you can offer something. But you have the right to ask for that. And yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you. Yeah, so that was our little chat about awareness in the club culture context. I guess there's like a lot of things we're still working out, everyone that is involved in club culture, including me. Nobody woke up or was born woke in the sense. So I feel like what another message could be to everyone at home, just ask, educate yourself, read the room, as you said, hold people accountable, make space for people that are underrepresented.
Make space is very important.
Or include people into your considerations for lineups, for collaborations. I also feel like it's necessary to say that these BPOC or whatever gender diverse people, they have been creating things for the longest time. It's not like we just woke up 2017 with the Awareness-Akademie and that's when awareness happened in this world. I think there's a lot of people who have been doing this groundwork also in Berlin for a long time.
And especially it comes from a struggle.
Exactly, it comes from a real struggle and the struggle is ongoing, and I think it's important to acknowledge that awareness is a process. It's never stopping, it's learning, it's trial and error, and also like moving on from things because the world is developing.
Go. Exactly. And yeah, as you said, no one is born woke.
Yes. So guys, our dear friend Leopold is gonna play us another song in a hot minute, and we're gonna use this break and enjoy this music and be back with you in a bit. Thank you. Boah, ich muss was trinken. Ich krieg meinen Hals.
You get the knowledge, baby. about things that make me crazy. Don't treat me like a fool, 'cause I will play tricks on you. Don't you think I am too young?
What?
But watch what I could become. Baby, show me the ropes. You know the subject, don't do what you offered you would do. Give me something to learn. You can make the tables turn. Give me something to learn. You know what I like. Did my homework, baby. I studied your body. Know every inch of you. There's so much more to explore. Woo. Read every book of your library.
And still.
Every page keeps exciting me. Don't you string me along. Your new chapters and your new lecture is what I'm waiting for. Give me something to learn. You can make the tables turn. Give me something to learn. You know what I love. Give me something to learn. Till we make those tables burn. Give me something to learn. Give me something. Give me something. Hey, I try to spell my alphabet, lick it up from A to Z. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. This is how it's got to be. No, come on, spell my alphabet, fill me up from A to Z. Teach me, tease me, touch and please me. I love how you do it, freaky, till I make you say, give me something to learn. You can make my tables turn. Give me something to learn. You know what I love. Give me something to learn. Until we make those tables burn. Yeah, give me something to learn. Give me something. Give me something. Now give me something to learn. Come on, spell my alphabet till I graduate.